As a hybrid with the blood of vampires, werewolves, and witches, how will Elena's unique identity be revealed in her new school? What kind of turmoil will ensue from her encounter with her destined mate? Follow Elena on her journey into the unknown. Subscribe to our channel and uncover every secret. Chapter 1. I woke up to my brother jumping on my bed, waking me up and telling me to start getting ready for school. We just moved here 3 days ago due to my parents wanting to start somewhere fresh away from the rogues that were starting to pile around our pack. Elena, get up. If you don't get up now, you won't have enough time to finish getting ready. And we all know how long it takes you to get ready, said my brother. Oh shush, at least I try, and am always fashionably late, brother, I told him. Yeah, just hurry up so you can eat breakfast because we all know how you get when you don't have your food, he said. I threw a pillow at him just as he closed my door. I got up and did my bed and went into the shower. I stood there thinking about how much my life was changing. But how rude of me. My name is Elena, Elena for short. I know, unique name. I used to hate it till my parents convinced me otherwise. We just moved from New York to California. We moved here due to some rogues and my dad just wanting to start somewhere new. My dad is the alpha and my mom is the Luna of this pack, and I have 6 siblings, me being the youngest. Our pack is the Silver Moon pack, and it is one of the top 5 biggest and strongest packs. We are in second place, the Blood Moon taking the first place spot, and that pack belonging to the Alpha King. I am 17 and I should have found my mate already, but sadly it looks like the Moon Goddess doesn't want me to find him yet. I've always loved the thought of having a mate, and us being made for each other. Seeing how in love my parents were just made me wish I could find him already. I have brown hair and hazel eyes, but they could change at times depending on my mood. I am a hybrid. I have vampire, werewolf, and witch blood in me. I am the only one out of my siblings that got vampire and witch blood. They are all just werewolves. My dad is the vampire king and half-wolf, and my mom is the witch queen and half-wolf. I am not allowed to shift into my wolf due to it being all white, making me the only white wolf. With being the white wolf comes a lot of danger and a lot of power. I can control the elements and can do other stuff, but my powers slowly come. No one knows about me being the white wolf but my family, and it's better that way. I got out the shower and dried my hair into its natural curls. I applied some makeup and got dressed into a white skirt, a white crop tank top, and my white jean jacket. I grabbed my phone and checked that I had everything I needed in my book bag and walked down the stairs. I put my book bag down on the couch and went into the kitchen where I could hear my family talking. Good morning, Elena, said my dad. Good morning, Dad, I told him with a smile. I want you to behave on your first day. Okay, Elena, he said, while giving me a stern look. Okay, Dad, I will. It's my first day. What could go wrong, I told him. He nodded and smiled at me. He came up to me, gave me a hug, and wished me a good first day. Bye, Mama. I'll see you after school, I told her as I hugged her. Bye, baby, let me know if anything happened, she said while smiling and winking at me. I was pulled out the kitchen by my brother Asher. He put his arm over my shoulder and started talking about school, and how he couldn't wait to see new girls. I rolled my eyes at my brother and walked to the front door. Which cars are we taking, asked my brother Nick. I'm taking mine, I said. Mine, said my brother Asher. I'll also take mine, said my brother Theo. I got into my white Jeep Wrangler and my sisters Sapphire and Celeste got in with me, and Asher and Nick rode together and Elijah and Theo rode together. Me and my sisters sang our hearts out to Justin Bieber on the way to school. As soon as we pulled up, I turned down the music and followed my brothers into parking spots right beside each other, us being in the middle. So according to them, no boys would get close to us or use that as an excuse to get close to me and my sisters. I rolled my eyes and hopped out with my sisters and got our stuff from the back. I could feel people staring, but I ignored it. I closed the door and made sure my car was locked and started walking towards the front door of the school. Me and my sisters were in the front and my brothers were behind us. I could hear what people were saying, and by the looks on my sisters' faces, so could they. We walked into the school, and just like in a movie, everyone stopped and stared. I looked around and smiled and walked into the office, my siblings following close behind. Hi, how can I help you guys, said a sweet old lady with a smile on her face. Hi, we are new and we need our schedules, said Celeste. Of course, honey, said the lady while giving us each our schedules. I smiled and thanked her and walked after my siblings. We went to our lockers, which were right beside each other, and compared our schedules. I had at least 2 of them in each class, which made me glad cause I wouldn't be alone. We walked to class. Up first I had English with Celeste, Sapphire, and Asher. We all walked into class late cause we had trouble finding our class. This school was huge. As soon as we opened the door, everyone turned their heads to see who had opened the door. You four must be the Michelson," said the teacher. "Yes, ma'am," said Sapphire. "Welcome, take a seat," said the teacher. I smiled at her as I walked to an empty seat. Soon she began with her lecture and I wrote the notes I had to write and then spaced out. The rest of the day was the same boring classes. Girls glaring at me and boys talking about me and my sisters. Soon it was lunchtime, and to say I was happy was an understatement. I was starving. I just hoped they had good food. Me and my sisters walked into the cafeteria together. My brothers were already in there, and they had a table for us. Me and my sisters got lunch and sat down with our brothers. We could hear people talking and whispering, but we ignored it and continued to talk about our day and laugh. Soon the day was over and we all headed home. Surprisingly, nothing happened today, which was good. Hopefully the rest of the year would be like this. Chapter 2, Liam's POV. Today I had woken up with a weird feeling. Like something was going to happen. I ignored and got into the shower. I got out and got dressed onto some jeans and a white shirt. I put on my shoes and made my way downstairs, getting ready to leave for school. Just as I was about to leave, I get a mind link from my brother, aka the Beta, and he's telling me that Rouges had came into our territory, which was weird. These rogues knew better than to mess with us. I make my way down to the cells where they are being held. Have they talked yet? I asked my brother through the mind link. They're just saying something about us having what they needed and soon enough they would come for it. He said, Weird, what could we have that they'd want? I said back. I don't know, brother, he said. Okay, rogue talk, what are you doing in my territory? I asked the rogue. He just looked at me and smirked. Me and my brother exchanged looks. Okay, rogue talk or I'll make you talk, I said, but once again all I got was a smirk. Fine, then you want to play this game. Let's play. I said, giving him a smirk back. I grabbed a silver-coated knife. I examined it and then walked to him. I saw fear flash in his eyes for a second, and then it was gone. I punched him in the face. And then I put the knife on his chest and dragged it down from the left shoulder to the right side of his chest. Then I made a cut from his right shoulder to the left side of his chest. Then I continued to cut all through his chest. I smirked as I heard him scream in pain. What were you doing in my territory? I asked, starting to get angry. Soon you will know and kill me now if you want. That's all you can know for now, he said. And with a sigh I snapped his neck. Take care of that, I said to my warrior Aaron. Yes, Alpha, he replied. I nodded my head and walked out, my brother Alex following behind. We made our way to my office. We walked in and I checked my watch. 12:00. No use in going to school now. Have you heard anything of the new kids that were supposed to come in today? I asked my brother. Nope, I did hear that the girls were hot though, he said, grinning. And what makes you think they're going to want you? I said, rolling my eyes. What isn't there to want, Liam, he said. Hey, I'm just saying. Remember what happened last time you tried to get with the new girl, I said, laughing at him. Hey, that was a one-time thing and you promised to never speak of that again. I had never been rejected. I laughed even harder, remembering how he looked with spaghetti noodles falling down his face. Okay, I'm leaving, he said. Bye, Alex, I said while laughing. I stared at the picture of my parents on the wall, admiring how in love they looked. When I was little I learned about them, and since then my mom had always told me how I should treat my mate. And I did want one, but now, I don't know. I'm alpha right now, and I have my family. We are all doing good. What else could I need? I haven't met her yet, and I should have met her 3 years ago. We will meet her soon, said my wolf Odysseus. You've been saying that for the past 3 years, I said, rolling my eyes. I know for sure this time we are close. I can practically feel her, said Odysseus. Okay, if you say so. But I doubt it, I said with a sigh. After that I felt him put the wall up. Me and my wolf talk, but ever since we shifted and didn't find our mate right away, it got to us both. And now, well, we barely talk and he gets angry fast. And very angry, killing someone angry. I sighed. I hope he's right. Chapter 3, Elena's POV. As soon as I got home I grabbed a quick snack and made my way to the backyard. I hadn't explored yet and well, it was about time I did. I walked around the backyard and looked around the pool and the basketball court this house had. The pool was huge and I could not wait to jump in. I saw a trail heading into the woods and I followed it. I know. Stupid, but I was bored. I needed to do something, so I followed it. It went on for a while and then just stopped. I looked around confused. And then I looked up and I got a huge grin on my face. It was a treehouse. I looked around for the ladder. Once I found it, I started to climb up to the treehouse. I opened the door to the treehouse and my mouth dropped to the ground. Wow, this is so pretty. It's spacious. I need to get stuff to clean it and decorate it. I had just found my new spot. I walked around the treehouse admiring all the details. I saw a window and walked up to it, and once again my jaw hit the floor. There in front of me was a river with a waterfall, and I could see everything from here, and I can't forget the sunset. I stayed there for who knows how long, just admiring the sunset and listening to the water running in the distance. I felt so relaxed. Being a white wolf and having the ability to use the elements just makes me have a deeper connection to nature. I could feel the air around me and I smiled. The wind was hugging me, making me feel relaxed. I moved my hands in the air, causing a small tornado-like thing to form in my hands. Then I released into the air and I saw it go up into the sky. I smiled and decided it was time to get home because they would start wondering where I was. I looked out to the river and decided I was going to come back tomorrow. I walked into the house just as my mom called out to us for dinner. I walked to the bathroom and tied my hair up in a messy bun and washed my hands. "So kids, did you make new friends?" asked my mom. "Yes, we made some," said my twin brother Theo. I don't remember seeing him talk to anyone else, but then again I don't remember much anyways. We all talked and ate dinner, and soon I headed up to my room and showered and did some homework. As soon as I was done, I put on some Grey's Anatomy and cuddled up to my pillows. The last thing I remember was seeing Christina cutting into someone. Chapter 4: Elena's POV. I woke up to the sound of my alarm, stupid alarms and their annoying noises. I dropped my phone and went to catch it, but instead I ended up getting tangled in my blankets and rolling off the bed and hitting the floor with a loud thump. Celeste walked into my room, looked at me on the floor and stopped. "I'm not even gonna ask, but what I will ask is, do you have white jeans I could borrow?" she said, walking towards my closet. "Really, Celeste? You're not even going to help me up or make sure I didn't hurt myself? But sure, go ahead, steal more of my clothes. I expect them back and clean," I said, getting up. "Where are my clothes you have borrowed?" she said while entering my closet. I went silent at that. "Yeah, that's what I thought," she said as she walked out. "Okay, Finny, use them for as long as you want," I said with a sheepish smile. She rolled her eyes and smiled and walked out. I got up, did my bed and walked into the bathroom and did my makeup and hair. As soon as I was done, I went into my walk-in closet and looked around. I was in there for 10 minutes looking for something, to where I ended up deciding on wearing black jeans, a black V-neck shirt, and my leather jacket, 'cause why not? I got all my stuff and walked down the stairs. "Morning, Mickelsons," I said while sitting down and grabbing some toast, eggs and bacon. I quickly ate and hopped into my Jeep with Celeste and Sapphire. As I was driving, all of a sudden I started to get nervous. I was confused because yesterday was our first day, so there's no reason to feel nervous. I just turned up the music to try and calm down. As we got closer to the school, I just started to get more nervous and I started moving in my seat. I pulled up and parked in the same spot as yesterday with my brothers on either side of us. I looked around and there seemed to be more people than yesterday. I got out my car and leaned against my brother's Audi R8 and looked around at the parking lot. Feeling more nervous, I looked around at all the cars and everyone had nice cars. I could see more Jeeps, Ranger Rovers, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, all types of nice cars. I looked at a pretty-looking Lambo. The color just looked so pretty. I walked to the back and got my stuff and took a deep breath before shutting the back. I locked my car and walked up to my siblings who were waiting for me in front of my car. "Are you okay?" asked Theo through the mind link. "I don't know. I feel weird and very nervous," I said, looking at him. "Wow, that's so weird. That's exactly how I'm feeling. Maybe it's just a twin thing." "And it's nothing," he said, smiling. "Maybe it is," I told him. He gave me a smile and put his arm over my neck. "We will be fine," I nodded. I heard a low growl and looked around but didn't see who it belonged to. We caught up to the rest of our siblings who were waiting at our lockers. "Are we trying out for cheerleading this year?" I asked the girls. "I don't know, should we? We just got here," said Sapphire. "We are trying out for football. Y'all should try out for cheerleading if y'all really want to," said Elijah. Maybe." The warning bell rang and I had to use the bathroom. I went to move but realized that Theo's arm was still around me. I grabbed my stuff and told them I would meet them in class. I walked towards where I remembered the bathroom being, but didn't see it anywhere. As I was walking back towards the direction I came in, I felt someone grab my arm and pull me into a janitor's closet. I let out a scream, not knowing who had pulled my arm. I look up to be met with the most beautiful eyes I had ever seen. I hadn't noticed before. There were sparks shooting up my arm and his scent was making me weak at the knees. "Mate," we both said at the same time. "What's your name, beautiful?" he asked, looking at me. "Elena. Elena Michelson," I said. Beautiful was all he said. He just stared at me for who knows how long, not that I could look away. His godlike features stopped me from looking away. He leaned down to my neck and I could feel his warm breath on my neck causing me to shiver. I turned my head to give him more access. He kissed my neck causing me to let out a quiet moan. He looked at me in the eyes and then walked out. Chapter 5 Elena's POV. I stood there shocked. Had that really just happened or did I imagine it? Had I just found my mate? I realized it was real when I could still smell his delicious smell in the tiny room. I hadn't smelt him before, but now it's all I could smell. I stood there for a couple more minutes smelling his scent. I had really just found my mate, after 2 years of waiting. I felt so happy, but the happiness soon died down when I realized what had happened. He had kissed my neck and then pulled back like I had burned him and walked out. I got out of the little closet and walked to class, which I was 10 minutes late to thanks to him. I walked in and everyone stared. My siblings gave me questioning looks, but I ignored them and sat down in the same chair from yesterday. Miss Thompson continued her lecture and I spaced out. Had he just rejected me? Was that his way of saying he didn't want me? Soon that's all that was in my head, and my wolf, who was previously jumping around, was now whining as she also realized it. All I could think of was negative stuff when the door to the classroom burst open, and there stood my mate whose name I didn't know. We made eye contact and I tensed up and looking down at the desk. I looked around and realized that the only desk that was empty was the one that was next to me. I mentally cursed and looked back down at the desk. I could feel as he came and sat on the desk beside me. I could smell him. And I could feel his power. I could feel everything about him. I tensed up even more, if that was even possible. The rest of the class I could feel him staring at the side of my face, but not once did I look up. I could also feel my siblings staring at me, and they were trying to break through my wall and talk to me. But I wasn't in the mood for that. All I could think was how scared I was if he was going to reject me. Not a lot of people survive rejection, but could I be strong enough and survive? That just made me nervous, so I decided if he can't talk to me, he won't reject me, so I'll just stay away. The bell finally rang after what felt like hours, and I got up faster than I ever have, and was the first to walk out the door and into my next class. I could hear my siblings calling me, but I ignored them. As soon as I walked into my next class, I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. I walked to my chair. Hopefully this class would go by fast. There was a minute left till the bell rang. The teacher walked in and told us to go to the front as she started assigning seats. When my mate, whose name I still didn't know, walked through the door, I had a mini heart attack. "Please don't sit beside me. Please don't sit beside me. Please don't." "Madeline, you're sitting next to Elena," said the teacher. Once again I let out a breath I was holding and started breathing again. I smiled at the girl named Madeline who was sitting beside me and told her my name, and we shook hands. My sisters, who were sitting in front of me, turned to look at me and mouthed, "Are you okay? What's wrong?" "Yes, I'm fine," I said back. The rest of the class I talked to the girl named Madeline who was sitting beside me. She was funny, and I liked her. I could already tell we would be good friends. We spent the class whispering to each other and getting to know each other. I could feel him staring at the back of my head the whole time. Turns out me and Madeline had all the same classes but first period. And I also had all classes but one with my mate, which made this even more harder. Me, Madeline, her sister Sophie, Sapphire and Celeste had all classes together. So we walked into the cafeteria together, and there he sat. At my table with my brothers and some other boys laughing. I inhaled and went to go get lunch. I sat in between Asher and Elijah, and my mate was directly across from me. I tried my hardest not to look his way, but when people next to him would talk, I would end up sneaking a glance. I also found out that Sophie and Madeline were his sisters, and that he also had 3 other brothers whose names were Alex, Justin, and Lucas, and they belonged to the Blood Moon Pack, which belongs to the royal family, which means he's next in line because his brother didn't want the title. His brothers who were with us were hilarious. I also found out that Theo and Madeline were mates. And that's why we felt the way we did this morning. But he doesn't know I found my mate. Not once did I touch my food though, which was fucking weird because I always need and want food. I could see how my siblings kept looking at me and the food, and I could also tell they were mind-linking. About what? Most likely me. Soon lunch ended and it was time for gym. We all had that class together, so we walked down together. We got changed into uniforms which were short and covered nothing. It was a t-shirt that was skin tight and some short shorts. Me and my sisters looked at each other knowing what was about to happen once we stepped foot outside the girls' locker room with Madeline and Sophie. As soon as we walked out, everyone turned to look, including my mate, which made me look down at the groan. And I heard, "What the hell are y'all wearing?" from my brothers. I rolled my eyes and walked to the bleachers and sat down, all of them following behind. We had to run and we did stations with workouts. I was on my way to the bathroom when I see my mate with some bimbo all on him, and what happened next had me wanting to cry. But I wasn't about to cry in front of him or any of these people. They kissed. I accidentally let out a whimper and he saw me. "Elena, wait, it's not what it looks like," he said, but I ignored him. I ran back into the gym and the girls' locker room and changed back into my regular clothes just as the girls walked in. And so did that bitch that was kissing my mate. I looked down and then up at my sisters who had stepped in front of me. "Elena, your eyes," they said. I finally realized that my eyes had changed colors to a purplish and I looked down. I tried to get them back to normal, but I couldn't for some reasons, which was weird. I walked out the girls' locker room and bumped into someone. I almost fell, but they caught me. I felt the sparks as soon as he touched me. Can you guess who? Yep, him. "Elena, please let me explain to you what happened," he said. I looked up at him, but then looked away, remembering that my eyes were purple. I walked to my Jeep and got in. I grabbed my sunglasses and put them on to hide my eyes because apparently my off button wasn't working. I laid my head on the wheel trying not to cry. That would explain why he got away from me like I had burned him. 'Cause he was with someone else and he was going to reject me. I heard them all outside of my car and apparently they were all coming over. Yay. Note the sarcasm. I heard my doors open and I lifted my head to see Sapphire, Celeste, Madeline and Sophie get in. I smiled at them and put on my seatbelt. They turned on some music and sang. I was quiet the whole way home. We got home and all the other cars parked around me, and I quickly got my stuff, walked inside to my room. I changed into something more comfortable, and looked for some cleaning supplies and grabbed some lights and blankets and pillows, and carried them in a big basket to my treehouse before anyone saw me. I somehow managed to carry everything up there and started cleaning and hanging lights and set up my blankets and pillows. As soon as I was done, I sat by the window and looked out. Some tears fell, and as soon as that happened, the air would get strong and blow out my tears. And I could even feel the air hugging me, I know. But when you have a connection with nature like this, you can feel everything. I was so scared of getting rejected, and from what I could tell, that's where things were headed. I waited 2 years to be rejected. I fell asleep with that in my head. Chapter 6: Elena's POV. I woke up and saw that the sun was setting, and decided it was time to go back. I got my phone, looked out the window, and made my way down. I was walking down the path to my house when I saw Elijah sitting outside by himself. "Are you okay?" I asked Elijah. "I should be asking you that," he said. "Well, I asked first," I said. He rolled his eyes at me. "Yes, I'm fine. I just needed to get away from them. They were doing too much," he said. "'Kay, let's go back inside then," I said. "'Kay, where did you go?" he asked. "I went on a walk," I said. We walked inside and everyone was in the living room. Everyone was talking and laughing. Asher looked at me. "Where did you go?" asked my brother. "I went for a walk," I answered. He gave me a look that said we would talk about this later. I decided to go look for Mom and see if she needed some help. "Hey Mama," I said, walking into the kitchen. "Hey baby, what's wrong?" "Nothing Mom, I just wanted to see if you needed help with anything." "There is a lot of people here after all," I said, smiling. She nodded her head. "Yes, there is," she said, giving me a look. "What?" I asked. "Nothing, Elena," she said, smiling. I rolled my eyes and smiled and helped her on cutting up veggies. After 30 minutes we were done with dinner. I went to wash up, and when I got back everyone was sitting. I went and sat beside my dad and Nick. My mom was on my dad's other side in front of me. We all began eating and my dad asked Asher and Madeline if they had met in a romantic way. "Well, I was coming out of my first class and I bumped into him," said Madeline, laughing. "Yeah, and of course she was going to fall, but you know me and my fast reflexes and caught her," said Theo, causing all of us to laugh. I spaced out after that, thinking about how we had met. He pulled me into a closet and he kissed my neck. And we just stared into each other's eyes. I couldn't look away. It was as if I was stuck in a trance. I shivered, remembering. A smile went up to my face. I wonder if he felt the way I did. I decided to sneak a glance to see him already staring at me. I shivered, and once again we were stuck in a trance-like thing and were making eye contact. I couldn't look away. I was hooked, not that I really wanted to. "So Elena, any chance you found your mate today?" "I would have, though that you and Asher would have found them at the same time," asked my dad. I whipped my head to where he was. not expecting his question. I heard a chair scrape against the ground. I turned to see Liam, whose name I had recently learned, and heard a "excuse me" as he left the kitchen heading in the direction of the bathroom. I looked at my dad, who was waiting for me to answer, and then down at my food, which was barely touched. No, I haven't," I said quietly and gave him a small smile. He gave me an encouraging smile and said, "You'll find him soon, baby, and he'll love you." I couldn't tell them anything about him yet. I didn't know if he wanted me or if he didn't want me, and I needed to see first. I hope he did, because the mate bond is doing its magic and it's getting harder and harder to be away from him, and I can't imagine how it would feel like if he did end up rejecting me. After dinner, me and the girls helped my mom clean the kitchen, and then we headed up to my room and watched some movies, and spilled some tea. After 3 hours it was 10:00 p.m., and they all decided to head home and we would meet up before school for breakfast. We walked them to the door and we all said goodbye. I made eye contact with Liam and gave him a small smile. I walked to my room and laid down and started to think. And after 5 minutes walked in Theo, and jumped on my bed and just stared at me like a creep. "Theo, stop being a creep. Did you need something? Or did you just come in here to stare?" I asked him. He blinked and then blinked again. "I'm just trying to figure out what is wrong with you, and why you haven't been acting like yourself since the morning." I replied. "No, you haven't, Elena. We are twins. I know you best. And you are not acting like yourself." "I'm fine," I replied. "Elena, did something happen?" he asked. "Theo, stop. I'm fine," I said. "Did you find your mate?" he asked. I whipped my head up to him. I stared at him. I blinked away the tears and he pulled me to him. "It's okay, Elena. I am here for you. I'm listening, okay? But I'm not saying any names," I said to him. He looked at me and nodded and waited for me to continue. "I found my mate. But I don't think he wants me. That's why I was late today. I was with him. He pulled me into the janitor's closet and..." "Did he touch you?" asked Theo, cutting me off. "What? No, if you hadn't rudely interrupted me you would know that he just looked at me, kissed my neck, and then just pulled back like I had burned him, looked at me and then just walked out. And then I saw him later that day and he had a bimbo all over him and they kissed," I said, looking down embarrassed. "He did what? Who is he?" asked Theo angrily. "Theo, I told you I wouldn't say names." "Fine, so you know for sure that he doesn't want you. Give him some time to come around. You're not that ugly," he said, smiling. "Just give him time. He won't be able to fight the mate bond. And if anything happens, you tell me. Me and the boys will be ready to beat anyone up." I smiled and nodded my head. "Thank you," I said, hugging him. "Anytime, womb buddy," he said, smiling. He kissed my forehead and said good night. "Theo, please don't tell no one else. I will when I'm ready." "Okay, good night, Elena. If you need anything, you know where I live and sleep." I rolled my eyes at him and smiled. I got up and got ready for bed. Chapter 7, Elena's POV. I looked up at the clock and it read 4:00 a.m. I decided to go on a run since I was clearly not going to get any more sleep. I got dressed into some black Nike shorts and a Nike t-shirt and out on my shoes. I went to the kitchen, grabbed an apple and made my way to the trail. Instead of going up to the treehouse, I walked straight and decided it was time to visit that river I had first seen. I walked towards the water and sat down at the edge. I inhaled the smell of nature, feeling it calm me down. Last night I barely slept. I kept turning in my bed and all I could think about was Liam and his cute smile and dimples. I smiled at the thought inside. I hope he doesn't reject me because I can feel myself falling for him, which was crazy considering we hadn't really talked. Ugh, stupid mate bond. I looked at the water, then looked around to make sure there was no one around. I then reached out towards the water and I smiled as the water rose and wrapped around my hand. I did a little tornado of water in my hand and saw as it moved around my hand. I then used my other hand and grabbed some more and started practicing some tricks. I looked up and saw that the sun was rising and decided to go back and go ahead and start getting ready. I ran around using my vampire speed. It was about time I used my vampire speed and let her out. I smiled, loving the feeling of the wind around me as I ran around in the woods. I walked into the house and saw my parents in the living room. They heard me come in and looked up at me surprised. "Elena, what are you doing up so early? You still have an hour till you get up and get ready," asked my mom. "Me and them are going out to have breakfast with our friends, and I decided to get up early enough so I could go on a run." I let out my vampire, I said, looking at them. My dad looked up at me, looking like he was started to get angry. "Did anyone see you? Did you make sure no one was around?" he asked. "Yes, no one was around, Dad. I made sure. Felt so good running around. It always feels amazing." "Yes, it does," said my dad, smiling. Athena wants to be let out, she needs to be let out. She's been in for too long, I told them. Okay, we will look around and we will let you know if it's okay, said my mom. Okay, mama. Are you good on blood or are we going to need to get some more soon, asked my dad. Actually, now that you mention it, she's been bothering me a lot, she's very hungry. It's a hunger that I can't explain, but it's getting harder to control. My parents gave each other looks. Interesting, said my dad, giving me a look. Well, I have to go and start getting ready. Bye mama, bye dad. Bye baby. I walked into my room and got into the shower. I turned on my music and started singing to some Harry Styles. My voice is amazing from what I've heard. My voice is also unique, and when I sing it could calm people down. Just stop your crying, it's the sign of the times, it's the sign of the times. Welcome to the final show, hope you're wearing your best clothes. You can't bribe the door on the way to the sky, you look pretty good down here. But you ain't really good. After I was done with my shower, I got out and put some lotion on and started doing my makeup, and decided to straighten my hair. I walked into my closet and chose to wear a white dress that came mid-thigh, a black leather jacket, and some white shoes. I put on some jewelry and grabbed my phone, my sunglasses, my car keys, and book bag and walked down the stairs. I walked down and saw I was the first one out of my sisters down there. My brothers saw me and their jaws hit the floor and they started cheering. I rolled my eyes, not they could see, I had my glasses on to hide my eyes. I barely slept and you could tell. And then my eyes were going crazy and I couldn't control them. I went and sat down. Oh my God, this can't be. Are you really the first one here out of Sapphire and Celeste? I just smiled and went on my phone. I soon felt someone sit beside me. I looked to my side and saw Theo. Are you okay? He whispered. Yes, I'm fine, I whispered. Then why are you wearing glasses inside? Were you crying? He whispered. I looked to make sure no one else was looking and pulled down my sunglasses and looked at him. I quickly put them back up. That's why, I told him. And you can't control them. No. I couldn't control them yesterday either. And Stella is acting weird, she's restless. And I'm craving blood. She's craving it. Maybe we should tell Mom and Dad, whispered Theo. I was about to respond but was cut off by Sapphire. No way. You beat us. Are you feeling okay? I just laughed at them. We all walked out and got in our cars. I followed my brothers to wherever we were meeting the others. We put some music on and sang. Out of nowhere, Celeste, who was sitting in the front seat, turned off the music. Hey, I was singing to that. You left me singing, I told Celeste. So are you going to tell us what is wrong with you? Asked Celeste. I looked at both of them and sighed. I found my mate, I said quietly. Oh my God. Did you really? Oh my God, why didn't you tell us sooner? They both said at the same time. I sighed. Because I don't even know if he wants me. I explained what happened to them. He did what? No, he didn't. I am going to kill him. Who is it? They both said that I can't tell you, sisters. But why? Asked Sapphire. Because it doesn't matter, you'll know if he accepts me, I told them. We will find out, Elena, said Celeste. We pulled up to the diner and got out. They were all already there waiting for us. As I walked in, I smelt my mate and my wolf and vampire got excited. Y'all need to calm down. But smell his scent, it smells amazing. Don't you just want to go and jump his cute ass, said my wolf. Oh, the stuff we could do to him, said my vampire. Stella, okay, I get it. He's hot, but he's not ours yet. We don't even know if he will accept us. They just went back to being to themselves just as we got to the table they were waiting at. I ended up sitting next to him, which made me curse to myself. I should have been faster. Now we can smell him. He smells delicious, I just want to lick. I didn't even let Stella finish and I put my wall up. No need for her to get me even more nervous. I was talking to Mate丨, who was to my left, when a waitress came, and what she has on, well, more like didn't have on. She was showing everything, leaving no imagination for the eye. I saw her look at Liam and she went to his side and had her boobs all in his face. I fisted my hands under the table. I could feel my eyes changing. I reached up and pulled my glasses down. I was guessing they were red from anger. I looked up and saw Theo, Sapphire, and Celeste staring at me. It's him, isn't it? I heard in my head. I looked up and saw both Sapphire and Celeste staring at me. Then they looked at Liam. I sighed and nodded my head. I turned to see the waitress giving Liam her number. I looked at them both. He then had the audacity to take the paper. I felt my vampire trying to come out. I felt my fangs starting to come out. I looked at her as she walked off with our orders. And she had picked up some dishes from another table. There was cake on there, so without realizing it, I made her fall and her face fell into the cake. I gasped, surprised. Why did I just do that? Because she deserved it for messing with what is ours. How did you do that? You did that without me realizing it. She just laughed and went back to wherever she came from. I heard my sisters laughing and I looked at them. Good job, she had it coming, they said. After that we all ate and headed to school. Chapter 8. We pulled up to school and parked at our regular spots. We got out and just started talking in front of my car. Me and the girls were talking when we heard an annoying screeching sound. Baby, you're finally here, said that annoying bimbo. I felt my hands fist and I looked down. I felt my sisters each grab a hand. I looked up at them and smiled. The next thing I know, she throws herself at him and has her arms all over him. She then kisses my mate. I was about to lounge at her when I was pulled back by the arms holding me. We turned to leave. And before we did, I looked at him in time to see him push her away. I looked at him then walked away. I could feel my eyes and they were not normal, and I couldn't put them back to their original color. I was furious and I wanted blood. Stella wanted blood. I grabbed my stuff from my locker and headed to class early. My sisters followed me. Are you okay? Asked Sapphire. You look like you're about to kill someone, said Celeste. I'll be fine, I told you guys he doesn't want me. And they won't calm down, they're furious and for some reason I can't control them or my eyes. That's weird, maybe we should talk to Mom and Dad, said Celeste. Yeah, this isn't normal for you, something is definitely happening to you, said Sapphire. That's the same thing Theo told me. I told them. Wait, he knows. Yes, I told him last night. Oh, just then the bell rang and I realized that there was people already in here. I saw him walk in and tensed up. He came and sat beside me. The teacher came in and started her lecture. We started with writing down some notes. Then she announced a project. So I will be choosing your partners from this jar. Sophie with Sapphire, Madeline with Theo, Celeste with Alex, Elena with Please be someone else, please be someone else, please be. And Liam. I put my hand on my face, trying not to show people I was freaking out. Why did this have to happen to me? Why did I get stuck with him? Out of everyone else in this room, I got stuck with him. I sighed and listened to her explaining the project. The bell rang and I was out of my seat like it had burned me, and made my way to my next class. Too bad I had it with him. The class went by normally, me and Madeline sitting next to each other laughing. After 3 periods it was finally time for lunch, and the 5 of us made our way to get food. I went and sat down between Theo and Lucas. I was talking to Lucas when out of nowhere the bitch came and sat herself on my mate's lap. Her side friends behind her. When she sat down she bumped into the table and 'cause Theo drank to fall and spill everywhere, and it landed on my legs. Thank God I had wore a dress, but I had to clean my legs. I stood up out of reflex and glared at her. Watch it, I said to her. Or what whore, said the bimbo. Or else you won't have proper working hands, I gritted out through clenched teeth. I'd like to see you try, said the bimbo. The cafeteria was now dead silence, everyone just staring at the both of us. Listen here, you dumb fake bimbo. I'm pretty sure you're not used to people saying shit to your face, but let me speak for me and every other person in this room. You aren't as big as you think you are. And I'm not scared of you, all you do is talk about other people and torment other people. And that's going to stop. Because at the end of the day you have no one here. Those plastics you have behind you talk about you behind your back. And everyone else here dislikes you. So stop trying to be someone you're not and act nice for once in your life. It'll get you places, I told the bimbo. I still had my glasses on, thank God, 'cause my eyes were red. Next thing I know she punches me in the face. My head turns to the side, I look at my siblings and see them getting up slowly, knowing I was about go off. I couldn't help myself, I lounge for her and I hear her scream. I then start hitting her face and as I was about to go for her again I am pulled off of her. Get off of me, let me go, I say to whoever is holding me back. I reach for her but then the person holding me hugs me closer and harder from behind, holding onto my arms. I soon relax, feeling sparks and inhaling his scent. Relax me more. He whispers in my ear, causing me to shiver. I fell into him and felt something hard touching my lower back. I tense up, realizing what it was. I push myself off of him, also realizing he's not mine. And he doesn't want me, he's just doing this to calm me down or I would kill his bitch. Making me more mad, so I push myself away from him and run out the cafeteria doors, and out the school's front doors. I run into the woods and made sure I was far from the parking lot and punched a tree. For some reason I couldn't calm down, and not to mention my eyes which I couldn't change back to normal. I leaned my head on a tree trying to calm down but nothing was working. I just felt more and more mad. I heard a branch snap to my left. I whipped my head to the left and saw my mate. I rolled my eyes and looked the opposite way. I saw him stand in front of me and he put his hand on my cheek. I leaned into his touch and sighed. This felt amazing just feeling him. I inhaled his scent and pulled him to me. I looked at him and he looked at me. And before we realized it, we were both slowly leaning in. I licked my lips and saw as his eyes followed the movement of my tongue. As soon as our lips touched, my eyes shut and I felt sparks going through my whole body. I had never felt this way before, the feelings going through my body. He pulled me closer and lifted me up. I wrapped my legs around his waist and he slowly moved his hands down to my butt. He squeezed it, causing me to gasp. He took that as an opportunity to stick his tongue in my mouth. We fought for dominance, but of course he won. We pulled back from each other. He started kissing down my neck. He found the spot he would mark me and started sucking on it. I let out a moan, my head falling back, causing him to have more access. Next thing we know, we are in my Jeep. Not sure how we got there, but we continued. I had luckily worn a dress today. We got into the back seat and he pulled me onto his lap. He ripped my panties off and threw them to the side. I quickly unbuckled his pants. He grabbed my face and pulled me to him and started to kiss me passionately and hard, causing me to let out a moan in his mouth. He began to rub but he pulled me to him, lifted me up and slowly dropped me onto him. I let out a small whimper, causing him to stop. "Are you okay, mi amor?" he asked. I nodded my head and gave him a smile. "Are you sure you want to continue? We can stop if you're not ready, mi amor." I gave him a smile and kissed him, showing him I was ready to continue. He slowly continued. He stood still till I was ready. I slowly started to move my hips and let out a loud moan as my head fell back. He pulled my dress over my head and started to kiss and suck hard on my boobs, leaving hickeys everywhere. He got faster, making me moaning mess. Soon I came. Him following a couple seconds, let out a loud moan and finished. I was sitting there breathless as he pulled me close and hugged me and kissed my forehead. "You are beautiful, Elena," he said, causing me to blush and bury my head in his neck. I inhaled his scent and kissed his neck. He turned his head, giving me more space. I started kissing at his neck, and then made my way to where I would mark him and started sucking hard. He groaned and grabbed a fist full of my hair and pulled me to him, where we once again started kissing. I moaned at how it felt when he grabbed me like that. Soon we were back on round 2. We were soon dressed, and out of nowhere he got out the car and told me to meet him at the river near my house at 700. He kissed me and walked out into his car. Chapter 9. The bell was about to ring, so I just waited for my sisters in the car and turned down the windows. In the couple minutes that was left of school, I sat there thinking about what just happened. This meant that he finally accepted me, right? I squealed and had the biggest grin on my face. I can't believe that just happened. I remembered about my underwear and quickly picked them up and put them in my bag. As soon as I did, I saw my sisters heading in my direction. I made sure my neck was covered by my hair and looked in the small mirror. I took my sunglasses off and noticed that my eyes were still not my normal color. Weird, I thought. My sisters got in and I drove off. "Are you okay now?" asked Sapphire. "Yes, I'm fine, I promise," I said, smiling. The rest of the car ride, they told me what happened after I ran out. We walked inside and I went to my room. I went into the bathroom and moved my hair to the side and looked at my chest. And to say I was surprised was an understatement. I did not expect my neck and chest to have that many hickeys. I put on a shirt and some shorts and made sure my hair was covering my neck, and out my glasses back in because they were still a pinkish color. After many tries, my eyes wouldn't go back to Hazel, so I just walked down the stairs with my glasses. "Hi, Mama," I said as I saw her in the living room reading a book. "Hi, baby. Your dad is waiting for us in his office." Why, I said, nervous. "Des, now let's go," she said. "Hi, Dad," I said as I walked in with a smile. "Do you have anything to tell us?" said my dad. No. I said, "Elena Luna Michelson." My eyes got wide as I heard him yell at me. I stayed quiet so he could tell me why he was mad. "Why are you wearing sunglasses inside?" asked my dad. "Because they look nice," I said confidently. "Elena, did you find your mate?" asked my mom. I stared at them. "No." "There you go, lying to us again." "I may ask you one more time, did you find your mate?" said my dad angrily. "Yes." "Why did you not tell us?" said my mom sadly. "Come inside now." "Instead of eavesdropping," said my dad. I looked back and slowly the door opens to reveal all of my nosy siblings. My mouth drops as I stare at them. "Now tell me why you didn't tell us you had found your mate," said my dad. Because what, Elena? Do you know how bad your vampire is going to get until you get your mate?" What? What do you mean? I asked him. Your vampire having a mate is way different than your wolf having a mate. And she will crave blood till she marks her mate and has his blood for the first time. And you being how you are is not good. Because she will use that. Tell me, have you been with your mate yet? He asked. Elena, you should tell him what is going on with you, said Theo in my head. I slowly took off my glasses and looked at him. My mother, who was behind him, gasped. I looked at her confused. Then I looked back at my siblings and they all gasped too. I went up to the mirror in my dad's office and I then gasped. My eyes were different colors. They had never done this before. I looked at my dad and he looked worried. They won't go back. They've been like this for 2 days now. I can't control them and my anger is uncontrollable, I told him. Yeah, I heard about the girl, said my dad. I looked at him and saw him staring at the wall. Behind him my mom was giving me a thumbs up and whispered good job and winked at me. I let out a laugh but covered it up with cough. He told us all to leave. As I was closing the door I saw his concerned face. Well, that went well. I looked at my watch and saw that it was 6:55. I quickly left the house and made my way to the river. As I got closer I saw Liam sitting there. As I got closer he turned to me and got up. I looked at his eyes and they were cold. And had zero emotion in them. What's wrong, Liam? I asked quietly. What happened earlier shouldn't have happened. It was a mistake, he said. My heart dropped. What? I asked. It shouldn't have happened. I don't want you. I don't want this. I don't want a mate. I like how my life is now without a mate. I like being free, he said. What? But we just. And you looked happy, I told him sadly. It was a mistake, that's what it was, he said with no emotion in his voice. I, Liam Avery, reject you, Elena Michelson, as my mate and Luna Queen. He said, emotionless. I fell to the ground as I felt the pain in my chest. I looked up and he was gone. I began to cry and hyperventilate. I couldn't breathe. I felt like someone had just ripped my heart out. I felt the wind pick up around me. Soon it got dark outside and it started pouring. I knew this was because of me, but I couldn't control it. Soon it was dark outside and it was raining hard, and looked like there was going to be floods. I slowly got up and used my vampire speed to get to the back door of my house. In less than a minute I was there, falling to the ground. I felt angered, I felt sad, and I felt the need to drink blood. I knew that wasn't good. I sped to the refrigerator to where they kept my blood. And I opened up a packet. When I was done I still felt the need for blood, so I drank another one and then another one. My mom and dad walked in and looked at me. Elena. Baby, what happened? Said my mom with tears in her eyes. I need to go, Dad. Now. I can't hold her back for much longer. She's hurting and she's mad. My wolf is just quiet. He nodded and picked me up. But she realized what was happening and took her fangs out. Soon my brothers walked in and helped my dad. I looked up at Theo and saw him looking down at me. What happened, Elena? Asked Theo. I ignored him and I heard him sigh. Soon I was in the cellar and my family was down there. I had some handcuffs on that prevented me from using magic. They had also injected some wolfsbane and something else that would calm down my vampire. They were all leaving, and I finally looked up and told Sapphire and Celeste to stay behind. Don't tell anyone who my mate is, please. I trust y'all. Promise me. Promise no matter what you won't tell them who he is, I told them quietly. We promise, they both said. The next morning they all came to see me before they went to school. He rejected me. He rejected me after we had sex. I said quietly, but I knew they heard me as I heard my mom and sisters gasp. I slowly turned to them and saw my brothers shaking, and my mom trying to calm my dad down. I then turned back to the wall and got into a ball and just stared out the little window. Chapter 10, Liam's POV. I walked away after what happened in her car smiling like an idiot. That had been the best sex I had ever had. She was just so beautiful and such a kind person, well, unless you got on her bad side. I got out and kissed her forehead and told her to meet me at the river. I made my way home and decided to do some alpha work, as I needed to finish some stuff and arrange a meeting for next week with the Witch Queen. I started think about her and just how beautiful she is. I'm so lucky to have her as a mate. I sighed. I couldn't wait to see her later. I did some alpha work and soon it was time to meet up with her. Soon I was there waiting for her and then I had zero emotions and the next thing I know I rejected her. I was so shocked and I couldn't believe what had just happened that I left. I got to my room feeling pain but feeling good that I didn't have a mate to worry about. Now I could continue to how things were before she got here. That's what happened that day in the janitor's closet. I realized that I didn't want a mate. It was the next morning and I had gotten ready and was on my way to school. I felt good, and as I pulled up I saw that my friends were already there and my siblings went to them and started talking. I hadn't noticed before but Elena wasn't here and neither was her car. There was a different car at her spot. I just shrugged and went to class. The rest of the day was boring. During lunch Alexa came and sat on my lap again. She had brought me some stuff that she had baked for me, which she was an amazing baker by the way. The whole time Elena's sisters kept glaring at me. I ignored them and continued to flirt while Alexa, who was on my lap. I whispered in her ear to meet me in the hall and she left giggling. Soon I followed after her saying bye to everyone and receiving a nasty look from Elena's sisters. I just ignored them and went to look for the girl that was waiting for me. I found her and pulled her into the janitor's closet. As I was about to have sex with her, I receive a mind link from my dad. For some reason I felt glad, but made my way to my car and left. When I got home my dad was waiting for me. I followed him into his office as we talked about an invitation I had received. The Vampire King had invited us to a ball, and me and my family were going, as well as my grandparents who had recently been the Werewolf King and Queen. It was now the weekend and I hadn't seen Elena for the past 3 days. I was worried for her. I rolled my eyes blaming the mate bond. I decided to go work out and the rest of the day was spent doing alpha work. This was a short chapter and a little boring, but things are about to get interesting. Like and follow for more. Chapter 11 Elena's POV. I had been in here for 3 days now and I finally felt better. I didn't feel the urge to drink or to kill someone. I sighed, but I was still rejected. Though I didn't accept, so it's not permanent, but I doubt he's gonna want to be with me. He rejected me for a reason. I looked up as I heard the doors open and in walked my grandma, the current vampire queen, due to my dad wanting nothing to do with the vampire crown, making me next in line, as well as the witch kingdom due to my mom's side, both my parents being royals. I smiled as I saw her. She opened the door and came in. I tried to get up but failed. She helped me up and I hugged her. "What are you doing here, Grandma?" I asked her quietly. "I heard what happened to my little princess and I had to come and see how you were," she said. I hugged her tighter and started crying. "I don't know what happened, Grandma. It was so weird. One minute he wanted me and the next he rejected me," I told my grandma. "It's okay, Elena, we will figure out what happened," she said, hugging me tighter. "But for now we need to weaken your vampire because if we don't she is going to do something you two will regret," she said. "Okay, but will she be okay?" I asked quietly. "Yes, she will, but you will be very weak. Your wolf is already weak due to the rejection and now with us weakening your vampire. We just don't know if you'll even be able to function properly, but we need to do this for y'all," she said sadly. "Okay, Grandma. I'll be okay," I said quietly. "I know you will, baby. I'll also teach you how to control your vampire, but it's going to be hard, Elena," she said. "But come on, baby. Let's take you upstairs," she said while helping me up the stairs from the cells. My brothers were up there, and as soon as they saw my grandma trying to help me up the stairs, they rushed to help me. "It's okay, Elena, I got you. Don't worry, we will help you through this," said my brother Nick. I just nodded and put my head on his shoulder as he took me up to my room. He took me to my bathroom and sat me down near the tub and kissed my forehead and walked out. My grandma came in soon after with my mom, as they helped me shower due to me being too weak to move and do stuff on my own. After the shower they got me dressed into some sweatpants and a cropped t-shirt, just as my dad walked in with the pack doctor. "Hi baby," my dad said sadly. "I'm sorry to have to do this, Elena, but it's for you and Stella. And if we don't, things are going to get very bad. But also with you being weaker, we are going to need to watch you more because people could use that as an advantage and come for you if they find out you're weak right now," said my dad. "I'm sorry," Elena said Dr. Evans before he injected me with whatever they were going to put in my body. Last thing I saw before I lost conscious was my mom crying in the corner, and my dad and grandma looking at me sadly. The video is about to end, but Elena's story continues. Don't forget to subscribe for exclusive content in the next chapter.